Thank you for tuning in to Safe Haven Radio. I'm truly grateful that you've chosen to spend this time with us today. In today's episode, we'll be exploring a topic that affects so many people in our modern working world: the challenge of truly disconnecting from work during your days off. Perhaps you've experienced those Sunday evenings filled with anxiety about Monday morning, or maybe you find yourself unable to enjoy time with family and friends because work thoughts constantly intrude. Many of you listening may have similar experiences, and I want you to know that you're not alone in facing this challenge. Let's explore this topic together today, looking at what science tells us about psychological detachment from work and how we might support our mental well-being during precious personal time. Please remember that the information we share today is based on current research, but everyone's situation is unique, and if you're experiencing significant distress, please don't hesitate to seek support from a qualified mental health professional. Take your time with the information we explore today, and go at your own pace as you consider what might be helpful for you. Before we discuss practical approaches, let's look at what scientific research has revealed about this phenomenon. Psychological detachment from work refers to the experience of mentally switching off from work-related thoughts and concerns during non-work hours. A comprehensive longitudinal study that followed working-age adults over several years found some striking patterns. The research showed that individuals who maintained better psychological detachment from work demonstrated significantly better psychological well-being, lower anxiety levels, and higher life satisfaction compared to those who struggled to disconnect. The study revealed concerning trends in the general population. Risk for major depression increased from 20% to 29% over time, while poor life satisfaction rose from 15.4% to 25.4%. However, there was encouraging news as well. The research found that those who improved their ability to psychologically detach from work showed meaningful improvements in these mental health indicators over time. Research institutions have investigated how psychological detachment actually works in our daily lives. Studies have found that workload is negatively related to our ability to psychologically detach during evening hours, meaning that heavier workloads make it harder to switch off mentally. At the same time, when people do achieve psychological detachment, it's associated with more positive mood and lower fatigue levels. One particularly interesting finding examined weekend recovery patterns. Researchers discovered that the level of psychological stress people experience before the weekend affects how much benefit they get from relaxation and detachment during the weekend itself. The study also found that psychological detachment partially mediates the negative effects of social stressors at work on sleep quality, particularly on Sunday evenings. This suggests that difficulty disconnecting from work doesn't just affect our waking hours but can impact our sleep and recovery as well. Large-scale research reviews have confirmed that the ability to unwind and recover from everyday work is essential for sustaining well-being, motivation, and job performance over time. Studies have shown that psychological detachment serves as a mediator between job demands and job anxiety, as well as between job demands and certain work behaviors. Daily recovery research has demonstrated that psychological detachment and relaxation, along with adequate sleep duration, independently enhance the relationship between work pressure and task performance the next day. This research emphasizes that recovery between work shifts plays a key role in maintaining consistent performance and preventing burnout. It's important to note that while this research is informative, there's still much we don't fully understand about individual differences in recovery needs and optimal detachment strategies. This information may help you understand your own situation, but please remember that everyone's experience is unique. Now let's explore some evidence-based approaches that may help support your ability to disconnect from work during personal time. Current research suggests several methods that have shown promise in scientific studies, though it's important to try these within comfortable limits and without forcing yourself. The first approach involves creating what researchers call structured transition rituals. The idea is to establish a specific end-of-workday routine that signals to your brain that work time is over. This might involve changing clothes immediately after work, taking a short walk along a particular route, or engaging in a consistent activity like stretching or listening to a favorite playlist. Research indicates that such physical and behavioral markers can help establish clearer boundaries between work and personal time. If you'd like to try this approach, you might start by choosing 2 or 3 simple actions you could perform in sequence when you finish work each day. The key seems to be consistency, as your brain may gradually learn to associate this ritual with the transition from work mode to personal mode. Don't blame yourself if you can't maintain this perfectly every day. Even occasional practice may provide some benefit. Another approach that research has explored is what's called the designated worry window technique. Instead of letting work thoughts intrude randomly throughout your time off, you might consider scheduling a specific brief period, perhaps 15 minutes on Saturday morning, as your designated time to think about work concerns. During this time, you could write down work worries, potential solutions, and action items for the following week. Studies suggest that containing worries to a designated time may reduce their tendency to intrude during other activities. Outside this window, when work thoughts arise, you might try acknowledging them and gently reminding yourself that you'll address these concerns during your designated time. This approach comes from cognitive behavioral research, though it's worth noting that this strategy doesn't work equally well for everyone. If you find that setting aside a worry time increases your anxiety rather than reducing it, that's completely valid, and you might explore other approaches instead. Research on mindfulness-based interventions has shown promise for reducing work-related rumination. One simple mindfulness technique you could try involves present-moment sensory anchoring. When you notice work thoughts intruding during your day off, you might pause and intentionally engage your 5 senses. Try naming 3 things you can see, 2 things you can hear, and 1 thing you can physically feel in that moment. This technique aims to interrupt rumination by shifting your brain's focus from internal worrying to external present moment experience. Research suggests that regular practice of such mindfulness techniques may reduce what scientists call cognitive reactivity and help break cycles of negative thinking. If this approach interests you, you might start by practicing it a few times during your weekend, gradually increasing as it becomes more comfortable. Remember, there's no need to be perfect at this. The goal is simply to practice gently redirecting your attention when you're ready to do so. Studies on work-life boundaries have emphasized the potential importance of physical separation between work and personal spaces. If you work from home, you might consider establishing clearer physical boundaries by designating a specific work area and, if possible, avoiding that space during off hours. If you work in an office, you could create what some researchers call a decontamination zone in your home, perhaps a specific chair where you sit for a few minutes to consciously release work thoughts before moving into your living space. Research on boundary management suggests that such physical crafting behaviors, including thoughtful selection of work locations and time management, may support better work-non-work balance for some people. However, please don't feel pressured to reorganize your entire home if that's not feasible for your situation. Even small adjustments to create some physical separation might provide some benefit. Cognitive behavioral therapy research has explored techniques for challenging thoughts that fuel work anxiety during personal time. When work anxiety arises during your day off, you might try asking yourself a few reflective questions. Is this concern truly urgent, or does it just feel urgent in this moment? What is the actual worst-case scenario if I don't address this until my next workday? How might I view the importance of this issue 1 year from now? This kind of cognitive restructuring aims to help separate facts from anxious interpretations. Studies suggest that learning to reframe negative assumptions into more realistic perspectives may reduce work-related anxiety for some individuals. If you'd like to try this approach, you might write these questions somewhere visible during weekends as a gentle reminder when anxious thoughts arise. That said, if questioning your thoughts increases your distress rather than easing it, please don't force this technique. Your own sense of what's helpful matters most. Research consistently shows that active engagement in meaningful activities is associated with better psychological detachment from work. Studies have found that people who structure their time off with personally meaningful activities, whether that's spending quality time with loved ones, pursuing hobbies, volunteering, or engaging in physical activities, tend to report higher detachment scores and lower anxiety levels. Interestingly, research suggests that active engagement may be more effective for psychological detachment than passive activities. While watching television might provide temporary distraction, it may not promote the deeper psychological detachment that can come from immersive, meaningful experiences. If this resonates with you, you might consider planning at least one fully engaging activity that you genuinely enjoy for your days off. Choose activities that naturally capture your complete attention and provide authentic satisfaction, rather than forcing yourself into activities that don't feel right for you. Contemporary research on boundary management has highlighted the importance of digital boundaries for psychological detachment, particularly given how technology can blur the lines between work and personal time. Some evidence-based approaches you might consider include adjusting your work email settings so they stop syncing to your phone during weekends, or perhaps using focus modes or app timers to limit access to work applications during off hours. Studies indicate that constant availability through technology can significantly impair psychological detachment and recovery. If feasible for your situation, you might consider setting an autoresponder on your work email explaining that you check messages during specific work hours. Research suggests that establishing and communicating clear response time expectations may reduce both your own anxiety and others' expectations for immediate availability. However, please recognize that workplace cultures vary considerably, and you may need to navigate these boundaries within the constraints of your particular work environment. Finally, research on weekend recovery has found that anxiety often peaks on Sunday evening due to anticipation of the coming work week. You might consider creating what some call a Sunday evening preparation ritual. This could involve spending a limited time, perhaps 20 minutes, reviewing your calendar and priorities for the upcoming week and making a simple action plan for Monday morning. Research suggests that such proactive preparation may reduce uncertainty, which studies identify as a significant driver of anxiety. However, it's important to set a firm time limit, as studies also indicate that excessive planning can trigger rumination rather than reducing it. After completing your brief preparation, you might engage in a relaxing activity that signals transition into restful evening mode, such as gentle stretching, reading, or listening to calming music. Small changes like these are important progress too, even if they don't completely eliminate Sunday evening anxiety. Let me summarize what we've explored today. First, psychological detachment from work during personal time is strongly associated with preventing burnout and supporting mental health, based on longitudinal research. Second, structured end-of-day rituals may help signal work-personal time boundaries for some people. Third, designated worry windows may help contain anxious thoughts to specific times rather than letting them intrude throughout your day off. Fourth, mindfulness-based sensory anchoring techniques may help break rumination cycles when practiced gently and regularly. Fifth, creating physical boundaries between work and personal spaces, even small ones, may support mental separation. Finally, active engagement in meaningful activities tends to be more effective for psychological detachment than passive distraction. Please take your time considering these approaches, and start with whatever feels most manageable for you. You don't need to implement everything at once or achieve perfect results. As we close today's episode, I want to acknowledge that changing ingrained patterns around work and rest takes time and patience. If you find that despite trying these approaches, you continue to experience significant distress about work during your personal time, or if you notice symptoms of anxiety or depression affecting your daily functioning, please consider reaching out to a mental health professional who can provide personalized support. The approaches we've discussed today are based on current research, but they're not a substitute for professional mental health care when it's needed. Your mental well-being matters deeply, and seeking professional support when you need it is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. Remember, your own pace is perfectly fine, and there's value in where you are right now, even without achieving perfect work-life balance. If today's content provided any support or resonated with you in some way, please consider hitting the like button. Your engagement helps us understand what's most helpful and allows us to continue creating content that may support others facing similar challenges. If you'd like to continue learning about mental health and well-being approaches together, please subscribe to Safe Haven Radio. We're here to explore these topics with gentleness and scientific integrity, always prioritizing your well-being above all else. May your hearts feel a little lighter today, and may you find moments of genuine peace during your personal time. Thank you so much for listening to Safe Haven Radio. Please take care of yourself, and we'll be here whenever you need us.